Hello, lovely. This is Into the Hen House, a podcast for moms with littles. We are joining our voices to a revolution of remembrance. And as mothers, we are rising together and choosing to live, birth, and mother from a place of internally sourced power and deep connection. Join us on this journey as we dive into topics of mindful and intuitive living and mothering, healthy and sovereign living, as well as the often taboo topic of birth trauma, both healing and preventing it. We are your hosts, Andrea,
Caitlin,
and Chantal.
And if you're ready, it's time to jump into the hen house.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here. I am absolutely thrilled with the guest we have today. This is Ansley Knopf, and she is many things. However, first and foremost, she, in my opinion, is one of the loveliest, kindest, bravest, most wonderful people I have ever met. And I am just so excited that she agreed to come on the podcast. As far as her professional and all of that, she is a health and fitness coach. She is a mom, which is, a profession of its own in certain ways. And just an all around really brilliant human being. And I love what she posts online. And so we're going to have a really lovely conversation today about postpartum fitness, postpartum health, bounce back culture, and kind of creating healthier body image ideas and for ourselves and for our kids. And so, yay!
I'm excited. I didn't realize you were going to make me almost cry right now. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I saw your questions that you sent over you wanted to kind of talk about. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be really good. I'm excited to have this conversation because it's stuff I feel really passionate about. But I liked the way that you were like, oh, what about this and this? And I was like, ooh, that's a really good one. So I try to make a few notes just so I don't get too soapboxy with it because you pick my favorite topics.
Well, I often look at it and feel so sorry, my eyes are watering. I'm like, I love what you say about these different things. And so let's kind of jump into it. And can you share your thoughts on postpartum fitness and kind of that bounce back culture? Because I see so much, mostly on TikTok, of moms, and they're like 8 weeks postpartum, they have the teeny tiny baby, and they're doing these insane workouts. And I'm going, you are going to hurt yourself. Or they say, I'm on my weight loss health journey, but all it is they're taking injections for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
And postpartum is just an interesting time. I'm not convinced that early postpartum is necessarily the time for aggressive weight loss. But can you talk about kind of fitness, bounce back, your thoughts on that?
Oof. This one always gets me going, right? I will say this, at least as a little glimmer of hope, I think bounce back culture as a whole is starting to kind of decline a little bit in popularity. Not that it's gone away, unfortunately, as you've seen, right? It's on the TikTok, it's on the Instagram, it's everywhere still. But I think the past few years with the awareness and increase in women's strength training and things like that, and kind of we're starting to get a little bit more into studying women for reals. That's kind of the thing that we'll talk about a little bit more later probably, but there's been a little bit more of an acceptance of women and being more conscious and cognizant of what really goes into being pregnant and giving birth and postpartum. So it's kind of declined a little bit in popularity because people are like, hey, wait, that doesn't really make sense. But unfortunately, it's not gone away entirely. And so without really coming for anybody in particular. I think that's due to a couple of things. One of those is that it's an easy predatory way for a multi-billion-dollar industry to come after the insecurities of women in one of the most vulnerable periods of their life, which is postpartum, because you're talking about you're sleep deprived, you're going through all these like emotional hormonal changes, your body is like not your own. And especially if you're trying to endure something like, I mean, even if you're not, but especially if you're enduring something like breastfeeding, which is a full-time job and a half. I mean, just the amount of work that your body does to be able to breastfeed a child is insane. And that's like, obviously that's not everyone, but a lot of women will at least make an attempt if they can to breastfeed for a certain period of time. And then you just have all these hormonal changes going on. And for some reason, somebody at one point was like, oh, 9 months in, 9 months out, like a year, like and we just got this into our heads that within a year, we should be like nothing ever happened, right back to it. And that's just not physiologically really even possible. But I think that probably even more than significant, like that's a more significant difference that I've noticed. And this is what changed for me, because I understood physiological and everything before I became a mom myself, right? I was like, oh, of course, physically, it doesn't make sense. I was never a part of bounce back culture as a coach, because I've been coaching for over a decade and I've only been a mom now for like getting close to 4 years. So that those are not equal, in time. But I was like, oh, physically, of course, logically, this makes sense. We wouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense. We support women. But being a mom, going through this myself, the most significant difference I've seen, and the more moms I get to know also across the board, has been that your entire brain chemistry changes when you become a mom as well. Everything's changed. Your values, your priorities, terms you probably heard, like matricence. It's just this entire becoming of a new person. So I feel like that's just a really important piece of it, that we always talk about bounce back, but you're not bouncing back, you're becoming more. And I think that's something that's just left out of the conversation entirely, is the other pieces of it, because it's not physiologically possible to bounce back in a certain amount of time. But more than that, I don't know that we even really, I think what the conversation needs to change from can we to should we, because you get to become a completely new person and you bring some of the best parts of you from maybe before you were a mom, but you get to experience and become so much more. And so that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think also, just even from the physical standpoint, people feel like, oh, I'm not pregnant anymore. Like, oh, yes, I should be careful exercising when I'm pregnant because everything. But in postpartum, it was, I remember my first Pilates session back. And actually, my Pilates instructor is how we met originally. And I was laying on my back with my feet on the floor, and she's like, okay, lift your leg. And I'm going, yeah, I can't. I mean, I can, however, not without hurting myself. And I'm going, this is where we're starting.
Yes.
So it was kind of this very interesting shift of like, okay, we're starting with some extraordinarily basic things, as in more basic than I've ever done for exercise in my whole life.
Yes.
And it was really interesting. And I feel like even a lot of physiotherapists or doctors or like people who are very well trained somehow skip that piece. And they're like, well, of course you can do it. And I'm going, okay, yes, I can, but not properly.
But not the way that I know I'm supposed to. And I think that's why it's impossible also to talk about this topic, right, without also talking about, as we kind of talked about a little bit before we started recording, just the standards for prenatal, postnatal, and just women's healthcare in general. The maternal mortality rate in this country is a lot higher than it should be. But postpartum support is almost like non-existent systemically. Unless of both knowledge and means to like have a doula or something. Most women get like one postpartum visit. And then if you have a C-section, which I know that's part of I think it's maybe a little bit different, but not a whole lot.
No, I had one postpartum visit.
Just one
that
postpartum.
Was it.
They changed that. I still have it. So and that's basically, I think people go, oh, I'm postpartum, I'm cleared to resume whatever. And a lot of times that's the conversation about that, but it's really not. It's literally just to declare them that they're not in danger of an infection from the wound that the placenta leaves.
Yeah.
All that
Yeah.
is not, okay, you're good to go back to
Yeah.
run the thing or
Well,
what.
I was told at 6 weeks C-section, they're like, yeah, your scar is closing. The outside is all closed. Great. Go back to life as usual. Anything you want to do is great.
Ah!
And I'm going,
Oh.
I can still barely walk. And actually, interestingly, the next week I ended up in the emergency room for what looked like a hemorrhage. It ended up not being,
Oh my
but it ended up being a severe systemic infection that was causing bleeding and vomiting blood again.
wow.
And I was like, literally 6 days ago, I got my all clear, nothing to see here, go back to life.
Yeah, and honestly, that kills me because in my opinion, like, you're just not seeing support. You're not seeing assessments and referrals to like pelvic floor therapy. And that's, in my opinion, that should be mandatory. I think that should just
Yeah.
be a requirement. You just go to pelvic floor therapy and at least get assessed to see what's going on. And then more than likely have follow-up visits. It's the physical side of that is just not supported. The mental, you're talking about at 6 weeks when you go back, especially if it's your first kid too. Like you're just even trying to figure out which way is up and you haven't slept. They're like, how's your mental health? And you're like, what? Like, sleep would be good. I think I'm doing, and God forbid you be like dealing with postpartum depression or, like postpartum rage or anything like that. Like that's usually not even, and unfortunately a lot of women don't want to talk about that either because then they're worried that they're going to be like put in a hospital or institution or something like that.
Right. Well, there's still stigma.
There is.
And then for people who have professional licenses, then you have to disclose it and you could lose your livelihood when you decide to go back to work. And it gets really complicated. And I'm going, wow, and that's been something I've been a little surprised at. I'm going, wow, there's very little support for new moms. Very little support.
There is.
And even culturally, there's very little support.
And
systemically. And yeah, it's really, really wild.
It's hard. We don't have mandatory maternity leave, which pushes moms to go back to work a lot sooner than they really should. Not just from a bonding standpoint, but from like a physical recovery. Like you said, you went to your 6-week checkup, resume life as normal, and then all of a sudden you're back in. Like you're not.
Yeah. Now I didn't choose to resume life as normal, but I was told to. They're like, well, everything's great.
They're like, do that. So I think that's, and I'm not really sure. I think that's something all we can really do right now at this point is bring that to light, have that conversation, normalize talking about what's not really normal or what shouldn't be normal, and try to create these smaller, it's not going to be a systemic change overnight, but if we can start creating it's like smaller spaces, even like locally or on the internet where women feel like they can be honest and talk about what's really going on and having that support of, hey, you're not alone. This happened to me too. That maybe we can start making some changes,
making a shift.
in progress.
And I think to some degree too, moms need to start demanding better.
Yeah.
To go, yes, I have my baby. Yes, I'm alive. Yes, my baby is alive. And I got told all the time, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And I'm going, I will so agree with you that is the most important thing that matters. The most important thing is we're both here.
Right. But it's not all that matters.
That's not all that matters. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that matters too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you really have to advocate for yourself. It's exhausting. But I've reached this point, especially now as a mom, that I'm not going to apologize for existing anymore. And that means that sometimes the doctor that's already got his hand on the door, who's ready to head to the next patient, I'm like, actually, I'm not done. I have questions.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be mean about it necessarily unless I have to be, but you can't just, I have an appointment. I'm here. I have questions. I have needs. I'm not going to be here for no reason. So I need to make, I have the care and the questions answered that I need to before you leave. And then I have to wait and make a whole appointment. And who knows what could happen between now and then. And that goes for me and for my child, right? Like, because a lot of moms will advocate for their children until the cows come home. Like they will their kids. But I think it's important that we, like you said, just apply that kind of passionate advocacy for ourselves as well, because that's just where we're at. I think it's important.
Yeah, and our kids need us to be okay, and hopefully not just okay, but doing well.
Doing well. Yeah.
They do better when we do better. It's kind of, we're very intricately linked with our children. Like their well-being is so closely tied to our well-being, especially when they're little. It just is. And so to neglect mothers is really problematic.
It
Really
is.
problematic.
It is.
We've got some serious screaming going on down there.
Speaking of our children.
So I had seen something you posted recently talking about fitness and kind of becoming more fit. I think the post had been something like, I don't feel fit, or I'm maybe not super fit right now. However, I'm getting fitter. I'm getting healthier. I'm moving in that direction. Can you share a little bit about that, kind of the process of becoming?
So like, I'm trying to remember that exact post because I feel like that was something.
So that was the post that triggered, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to invite her on.
Like, these are things that just kind of exist in this space. I forget about individual ones sometimes. Yeah, I think it's like changing the perception of, especially if you've become fit at some point, right? Like you feel like you exist in this kind of space of like, okay, I am fit in this area, or I've worked really hard to get here, or you've been an athlete or something. Postpartum just rocks your world. You have to start over. It can be really hard mentally to say, this is where I'm at, not where I used to be, and trying to figure out like, how do I become fit again, and like also what does that look like now? Because it's not that you can't ever be fit again, but it may not look the same. Like it may not be the same kind of fit that you were before. And the good news is there's all kinds of fit, right? Like you have a lot of options.
And your reasons for being fit become different too.
Yeah. Yes. And that changes also, like, whereas before, I was a mom, and that was my life, right? Like it was my job. It was my passion. I wanted to compete as an athlete. And so I could spend 3-4 hours in a gym, and that's fine, right? Like, cause that's all encompassing all of my stuff. Spend 3-4 hours in the gym. I can work out, take my time, chat, record some content, whatever I needed to do. And I don't have that kind of time now, but more importantly, and where probably my personal views are going to be divergent from other people's, and that's okay. I don't want to spend that kind of time at the gym anymore. Not because I hate it, but just because 3-4 hours of time is a massive block of my day. And I want to be, it's not that I can't bring him out there with me and we can do stuff together and whatever, and that's fine. And if we're playing and interacting and that takes more time, that's fine. But I don't necessarily want to have to take 3-4 hours of my day and not be around my child at all and be like 100% dedicated to just let me do all of my, if I don't have to. And I know that probably doesn't resonate the same with maybe people that work out differently, or they go to work all day. But I know that for other people that do work outside the home as well, it's been told to me, right, that they don't want to go to work for 8-9 hours a day and then go put their child in daycare at the gym to go work out for another 2 hours, because they already haven't seen their child all day. So I just think it does change, like, your reasons for wanting to work out, your value system, the time you want to spend. So I think it's just important to realign what fitness looks like within the new, like, value system of who you are as a person, and to know that it's okay for that to change. Like, I may or may not ever get into competitive powerlifting again for many reasons. But that doesn't make me like less of a person or less of an athlete or less like fit. I'm not in as good a shape as I would like to be for health reasons. But I continue to work that. But it may look
Yeah. No, but I think that that's really good to acknowledge, that it changes. And Speaking of powerlifting or lifting in general, because I feel like women shy away from that, the
Yeah.
weight training and things
So,
like that, or don't know how to start or don't know how to do it.
yeah.
But can you talk a little bit about the benefits or how one might get started with that in a way that is safe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the benefits are, and some people are going to resonate with the numbers and the percentages and the statistics, and then some people need like a more emotional connection to it. So I'll link some of the extra in the show notes for you, but the studies and the citations. But I mean, for just a quick synopsis of like some of the benefits, right?
Yeah.
And some of this incorporates a little bit of cardiovascular training as well, because I'm not really like a cardio queen, but I can't deny like the health benefits of having some cardiovascular fitness. And that can be achieved even through like some sprint training, high intensity interval training, or even just walking, right? Like walking is like probably the most underrated thing that we really can do.
Yeah.
But you're talking about like a 90% reduction in like a dementia diagnosis, 30% reduction in cardiovascular event mortality. It reduces inflammation in the body. Muscle's very protective. And then there's like a little quote that I'll put in the notes, the long one from a study, but it's also an effective strategy to help manage key hormones, right? Like your testosterone, your growth hormone, insulin.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, all these, like, we see it everywhere, right? Like, regulate your hormones. And sometimes, I mean, I'm seeing a functional medicine practitioner myself. We do need additional support in that. But one of the biggest things that we can do for our hormones as women is to resistance train.
Yeah.
Of some of the benefits, right? And then as far as getting started, I think it's just really, it's either a self-assessment or working with a coach to do an assessment of where you're at currently. Not necessarily like early postpartum aside, that I'm very much a person of like, I will help assess you, but more than likely, I'm also going to send you to a pelvic floor therapist initially. That core and like pelvic floor connection is so important for being able to move correctly with all these different but you can start with just body weight strength training, and then you just work out from there. All the way to like barbells. I think the term you're going to see a lot if you look at it, right, is going to be progressive overload. And that's a really technical professional term that basically just means that you're following a systemic, strategized like approach where you're progressively challenging the body to, because it's going to adapt, right? It's going to get used to it, and you're going to get stronger response, like going from a baby to a toddler.
Yeah.
Oh, it just gets harder. Cool. So it's a way that you can progress, and it challenges the body, but it's also measurable, right? Because I think that random workouts are probably the biggest detriment to progress and results. Secondly, to not doing anything, because there's no way to randomize the body. At one point early in my career, we were taught that like you needed to like confuse the body, and like do all these random things, or I would get used to it. And it's like, it doesn't need confusion, it needs consistency. So I think to kind of like bite-size that, what you're really looking at as a beginner, and generally speaking, to see health results, is 2 to 3 times a week for resistance training, 30 to 60 minutes. And a lot of that's just going to depend on like your background and where you're at currently. You build out from there. So that's and then I'm gonna I have some free resources that are on a website that help kind of get started with just general knowledge, and then like some band programs and stuff that use some resistance bands and things like that. So I'll have you link all that stuff, and that's a good place to get.
Awesome.
Just scour YouTube or like go into the depths of like TikTok. Go, what is going on in here? You can just start with something.
Right. Well, and you never know when you just find someone randomly if what they're saying is true, if what they're saying is good, because I have previously had patients also who came in to see me to get adjusted, and they lie down on the table, and I'm going, whoa, what did you do? And they said, oh, I started working out. And I'm going, okay, you're going to have to walk me through what you did, because this is not a happy body.
Oh no. Your body is mad.
And she's like, oh, I found this video on YouTube and it said beginner workouts. And I'm going, okay, well, let me look at this, because something went wrong. Something went wrong here.
Oh no.
And I'm going, okay, yeah, this is not beginner workout. This is like beginner workout if you live at the gym and are a personal trainer. This is not beginner workout if you haven't worked out in years.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, let's clarify a little bit. So,
What YouTube will give you, man.
oh yeah, you never know.
You don't. It can be a really great tool, but it requires a lot of sifting.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of conscientiousness and reevaluation. Be like, what is true and what is not true?
It would be nice if you could put like some sort of like filter, you know, and just like sift through it all and be like, okay.
Right.
Because there's some really great. Now, I will say I have a good little library of really great resources on YouTube that I highly recommend and think are fantastic and use often, even to see demos and stuff to clients. And they've been very much like, I'm not sponsored by any of them, but like they just have some really good high quality content. And so usually I'll give people like a little bit like, hey, if you're looking, these 5-6 accounts are gonna not be wrong, right? And like stick with that. Don't do random searches because you just never know.
You never know what you'll find.
Exactly.
At least wait till you've gotten a nice base going before you branch out too far.
Yeah. Just and one of my rules of thumb for clients is like it's not hard and fast, but generally speaking, we want to try to master. If you're talking about true beginning, and even if you're not true beginning, like you've never worked out, but even like postpartum, right? We really need to make sure that we've got some version of history over our body weight moving itself before we start adding external load. And the only really exceptions to that, in my opinion, would be more of like if we are isolating a muscle, right? Where like if we're going to work like biceps, for example, or triceps, that's not doing a bench dip is more advanced than doing like a tricep kickback or a bicep curl, especially seated or something like that, because it's more body control and you're putting your body in a different movement than just, so it's not exclusively across the board. Don't wait until you can do everything body weight. Obviously, like people can lift incredible amounts of weight and not do like handstand push-ups because it's not necessarily a thing that they need to do. But if we're talking about just kind of general movements like lunges, squat, things like that, like we would like to see some mastery with just your body weight before you're adding it.
Right. Well, and especially probably talking postpartum, you want to make sure that you've got a little bit of your core back and some stabilizers and
definitely
certain items help.
Yeah, I pushed a little too hard too fast postpartum to get back on the platform, and I had done my like rehab program, and I was like, I'm fine, and I really wasn't. I really through anyways. Massive injury, but I do think it set back my genuine like core recovery. I tried to work on that because I pushed so much. So I think people need to give themselves some more time with that and really focus on for sure postpartum.
Yeah, and kind of what you said too is one, postpartum kind of never ends because it's always after you had a baby, which is kind of for forever.
Right.
But it's even at a year or even at a year and a half or maybe even at 2 years, there still is recovery happening.
Yes.
And more so than what people talk about typically.
Yeah.
And that's what I have found too for myself is at a year, I'm going, whoa, I'm nowhere near feeling anything like I did before I was pregnant. Nowhere near. By a year and a half, I was like, okay, I'm feeling way better. Am I totally strong and fit and totally put together quite yet? No. However, I'm actually feeling good.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So I think it's definitely, it's such a process. And I think to have patience with the process is important.
Yeah. I mean, I just think we just need to more and understand like what all our bodies going through and be thankful for what our bodies can do, but also just hold space and acknowledgement that our a lot of us have gone through like some serious trauma with body as well. And so you're asking your mind and your body to like trust each other again, to rebuild. And it's not so simple as like, well, I did this before, I did a checklist, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I'm good, I should be good to go, move on. Like we hold space for that and give ourselves grace that it's a constantly moving, I mean, like target almost, especially in these early years, because even if you figure it out and you're like, because I kind of fooled myself a little bit, right? Like the baby stage, I was like, okay, we're figuring it out, yay, we're good, like, I'm good, I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden he could like walk, and I was like, oops. Yeah, he's moving a lot more, that's not going to work anymore. So, and then having to come up with a new plan, and then all of a sudden he's running, and now there's more teeth, and there's sleep regression, and there's there's all this, and I was like, I just don't have any control for anything. So just
I feel like someone else got the remote control for my life a little bit right now.
So, because I mean, that's honestly one of those crucial pieces that I think we kind of leave out of that young child mothering conversation with fitness, is that sleep and your recovery is so important. And we just really don't have too much of a say-so over that when we have these
there's
kids.
not a lot of there's not a lot of control over that.
Not at all. So I think it's giving yourself grace for that too, because I'll be like, oh, I worked out 2-3 days this week, I'm on a roll, yeah, okay, now I just need a fourth day, and bam, all my things are
and then all of a sudden someone gets sick,
wake
or
up a.m. and what are you doing? No. Like choose, am I gonna sleep in a little bit and try to get some version of my sleep back, or am I gonna be like, no, I'm gonna get up and push through? And I think that's a hard choice to make sometimes. Like, when are we pushing and when are we resting, and when are, like, that's just a whole new thing to navigate.
Well, and probably sometimes it's one way, and sometimes it's the other way, and sometimes we do have to push a little bit, and other times it's like, no, we need to hold back, and it's, but I think it's, again, what you said, it's that trusting, bringing your mind and body into this trusting relationship again, where you do know what you need and you can allow yourself that.
Because we hear your body a lot, and it's just like, what does that mean? And I'm like, it looks different now, but you have to be able to trust yourself and get that connection back online. Like, okay, we can do a little bit. One of my favorite things to do currently is I'll talk myself into like one thing, right? Like, I'll be like, let's just do, like 10 minutes of yoga or Pilates, just really low key, chill. And then I like I'm like, I can do that in my pajamas, it's fine. Like, I'll convince myself that. And then sometimes I can tell, like, that's it. That's all I really had. It was a rough night. We didn't get a lot of sleep. And that's what my body can really give me that day. And I'll be like, look at that. We did it though, right? Like, we did that. It feels like a warm up. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's do some more,
It's like, oh, this feels good. Okay, keep going.
Do it. Let's do some more. So convince myself minimum, and then like decide from there, like, let that be my metric, like, do I have more, or was that good?
Right. I love that though, because I think it's very easy to forget, but the body is a different body every day.
Yes.
Slightly. You know what I mean? Like, each day we show up, we have different circumstances, and it's different needs. And even if we're talking cycles, we're at a different moment in the cycle, and we had different stressors yesterday, and we have different things that need to get done today. And so it's kind of each morning waking up and going, who am I today? And how do I support this new person?
It really is. It's every day is a different person. The RPE scale is really important for me for that, because it's your rating of perceived exertion, and that is more accommodating, I think, especially for moms in this season. To, not that you can't work off of percentages or numbers or your little journal or whatever, but that rating of perceived exertion will give you a little bit more of an accurate day to day and how you feel on that day. Because maybe one day you can do, I'm going to talk about strength training because that's just like my thing, but maybe one day you can do 25 push-ups in a row and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. I've never been able to do this. I feel great.
Yeah.
The world. And then the next day you try to do like, well, maybe they might be sore. But like the week, you know, you try again and it's like 25.
Yeah.
That day, you know, sometimes it's just that day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
she said, yeah.
Got some good opinions over there. So, would you share a little bit about? I know you've talked about, probably especially in the past, even years ago, you had talked about like from a physical, the process that you've kind of gone through to really learn how to love your body, and that, you know, so much of it is built, you know, fitness and health and all of this, it's built more so than purely born.
Yeah.
And but just the process of learning to love your body, and then you come into pregnancy and postpartum, and there's all these changes, and again, depending who you are, but in my experience, the hormones made me very beautiful while I was pregnant, and then as they all dropped off, it was a very interesting sensation of like, whoa, this is, it's just kind of the process of going through all of it, and then the sleep deprivation, and I feel like there's just a lot of change. Kind of, it changes so quickly one way, and then it kind of changes really quickly the other way. And but the process of just really loving your body, and even with the hormone changes, how kind of we can keep on top of our minds and how we speak to ourselves, and kind of your thoughts on anything in that general area.
Wow. So, like, I think body positivity, right, has been a massive movement over the past 5 to 8 years in particular. I think it started with really good intentions and good roots, and I still support, like, you know, healthy and different shapes and sizes and things like that, and like love yourself, be body positive. So I think that's all still really good. I think we've seen more body types celebrated, media and other like public platforms, like different varieties of what health strong and even athletic can look like. I think Alona Alona Mare is like a really good example of that, with like her this strong body, but she still wears lipstick and like I think that's been like a really iconic point of what body positivity really kind of should look like. It's like she's like, look, strong body, look what I can do, but also I still like to feel feminine and wear lipstick, and like that's her thing, you know, and like and I think that's all great. I do think that body positivity has kind of moved to a spectrum, or on the spectrum. I think it's moved to a point in a lot of ways as toxic positivity almost, though, in where it's like, where people are like, just be positive, just be positive. I think we always have that in body positivity too, a little bit, where it's almost like they're being shamed if they want to lose weight, or if they want to do Pilates instead of this, or if they want to lift, or if they want to run, because it's not the right thing to do according to that particular circle. But I think it's more about appreciating like what your body can do. I think that's where it starts, is appreciating what your body can do, and then it can build from there. I think it can build out to like how I feel today. And I think something that's been really powerful for me, having the history of having an eating disorder, having like these different things in my past that I've kind of moved with, and you see it happen a lot with lifting. Women move into powerlifting. Powerlifting saved my life. It changed, because it's about what the body can do, not about like the performance of, wow, my body is capable of this, versus my body looks like this or fits into this, or is this size or weight or shape even. But it's actually body neutrality, which is just, if you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, I'm okay with like how my body is today, and not away from a place of hatred or like shaming or getting like really mad at, like, I can't believe I'm so fill in the blank. I don't want to say some of these things. But like, you know, I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm lazy, I'm squishy, I'm bumpy, like whatever negative thing, you know, thought at some point. Instead of that, the negativity, positivity would say, I love my body, I'm beautiful, I love how my shape is. Sometimes that can feel like a really big stretch, especially when you're in a really weird place like postpartum where you're like, I don't even know what this is that I'm living in. Like, this doesn't feel like my body. That positivity feel like a huge stretch. Like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can like love my body today, but I can be neutral with it. I can say, I see you, body. I appreciate you. I see what you are capable of and what you can do for me. I like that, we're here together and we're going to get through the day. And it's like, it's just a space of neutrality. I think that's really cool because I think where we kind of need to be. And then as we have a better day or we move to feel like ourselves in our body postpartum, we can actually genuinely reach that positivity again versus like forcing it in a way that, oh, I love my, but you don't really.
Yeah.
Important to be honest and still move towards positivity. I think it's more like that than
and I love that piece.
Because sometimes you don't. Like, sometimes you really don't. So
yeah, but I feel like that's really important because there's honesty, because your body is going to recognize. And so in the past I've heard people say, oh, just if you say this often enough, like they would say this about money or whatever, like say, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire on repeat, and eventually you will become a millionaire. And I'm going, but not if your body doesn't believe it. If I say I'm a millionaire and I truly believe it, well, that's kind of a different story. But if my body's going, well, that's silly, that's not true, you're making up nonsense, then the disconnect isn't going to help. And so I always felt like that was a big disconnect with mindset work. I'm going, like, there has to be the connection. And I love that you say that, that at least there's honesty to say, I got out of bed today and I could walk upright without pain. And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, you're really happy about that. But
you
even
know, that, like, at least that's honest and it's appreciative.
yes, appreciative, right? So like, I think if we replace positivity and if love feels strong, maybe appreciation, right, could work. But it's like more body appreciation and body honoring, right? Like, because if I think of my body as an entity that I live in, because it's me, like, I can honor my body without necessarily being enraptured with like how it looks that particular day, right? Because maybe if my body feels heavy, if I feel worn out, if I feel sore and tired, it's about getting to know that and saying, okay, I want to honor your needs today. What is that? Like, what is the best way to honor that? What is the best way to show appreciation and care for my body and treating it like you would another person? Because a lot of us are really good at taking care of other people, sensing their needs and saying, you know what? I think you need a hug. I think you need a cup of tea. Why don't you come over? You just tell me about your day. I'm going to make food for you. We're really good at doing that for other people. We're less good at usually doing that for ourselves. And that's still something that I like struggle with, honestly. In many ways, I've always been like a caretaking person of other people, and I will put myself really far down the chain. So it's like, can I honor my body today by going for a walk? Does it need movement? Is it stiff because I need to move and stretch? Am I worn out and I need to honor my body and show it appreciation by taking a nap or having a sit and like having some like like reading a book? I mean, I think that's loving your body. I think it's been co-opted into saying that every single day you're able to stand in the mirror and be like, I'm beautiful and sexy and awesome and woohoo, go me. And I don't think that's it every day. I think it's some days you're going to feel like that. You're going to have the like ride that. Be like, yes, like soar, fly. But a lot of days it's not like that. And that's okay. It's just, it's knowing that our body's so much more than just what it looks like. And also being like, hey, if it's not feeling great, what does it need? What can I do to honor and appreciate and celebrate and respect my body, and also be okay with, hey, if I know, right, personally, sometimes if I'm not eating well, whatever that might be for me, my body will tell me. And so it's not the best thing for me to just be like, my body's fine, I look awesome and great. Like, no, my body's trying to communicate. It's trying to tell me, hey, we need XYZ. So sometimes it's saying no to something or saying yes to something that your body needs to love your body. So I think it's very much like if you have a mom, you know, if you're talking to a mom, they have a child, sometimes you tell your child yes, and sometimes you tell them no, and sometimes you need to work with them, you need to practice, because learning and growing and changing, and that's your body. Your body's learning and growing and changing all the time. It's just about meeting its needs where they're at that day. I think that's, if we change the definition of what love looks like, then we change the definition of what love your body looks like a little bit.
Yeah. Along that line, when it comes to our children and how we teach our children about their body and about how in the hopes that when they grow up, they have less issues with it perhaps than we have. How do you go about doing that? Because I think it's true for boys and for girls that there's to build this confidence and this competence with their body, and I think a lot of that too is how we speak to ourselves. And because I have heard 4-year-olds, and 4-year-olds should be totally thrilled with their beautiful, amazing little bodies, but I'm going like, they're repeating exactly what their parents have said and going, holding their tummy and going, I have a roll and I need to make this go away.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like smiling and laughing because one of my favorite things for my son to do is run up and squish, my belly. He'll go squish, squish. Best thing ever. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm gonna breathe. I'm not gonna get upset about this. So it's just been, that's all you think about. I'm like, man, he loves my squish, and I'm, don't say anything negative about this because he doesn't think it's negative. He just is like, this is fun. So what I've just tried to do now, is just be like, oh, yep, that's my belly. Where's your belly? And just leave it. But I'm like, oh man, that was tough. The first little bit, the first time he did that, I was like almost in tears. I was like, oh no, just felt so called out by my toddler. But oh man.
Oh, okay, my angel. Mommy's almost done. Okay.
But I agree. I think if we can just start checking in about what we're saying about ourselves and to ourselves, that even if they're too young to maybe understand the exact words, they understand the intention, and the tone. So setting the example with our words and our actions, that can be a really big way to change the future, of how they're seeing themselves and how they're talking to themselves. So, and I think again, body neutrality and that kind of honesty, where it's just not this aggressive kind of shaming, because if I make it more about what my body can do, and that's the thing he takes away is what can my body do? Oh, look how strong I am. Look at what I can do. If that's the voice, if that's the tone, if that's, what he's hearing and taking in, then that's really powerful. That's going to translate really well into, him looking at himself and seeing what he's capable of versus, thinking, oh, I don't look a certain way, or I'm not because like you said, it's for boys and girls, right? We're always not enough somewhere. And if we can change that to, I have value, I'm strong, I'm capable, I can do hard things, I can take care of my body, I can listen to my body, then it's more about who they are and what their body can do, and less about not being enough.
Yeah. Something else you had said a while ago was, for moms, when you put on makeup, to say, instead of, oh, I'm getting pretty, or I'm putting on my face, or something like that, oh, no, I'm being fancy today.
Yes, I love that. It was my original thought, but I actually heard that from someone else who probably heard that from someone else. And it just resonated so much because I loved that. I love that idea of we can exist as ourselves and be enough, but we can also get fancy. We can wear fancy, put on our fancy faces.
Right.
And I like that because it was we're just dressing up, we're changing. It's putting on a nice outfit to go out somewhere. Like, you're getting fancy. It's a special
special occasion.
Or to not be that, right? And I heard that a lot, and I think she didn't mean anything by it. She was just repeating what she'd heard from her mom, right? Which was, well, I can't go out until I put on my face. And I was always so confused as a kid, because I was like, but you have a face. So
right.
trying to change that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I love all of that. Let me put her down here for a second, and then I'll close, because I think the time has run out. Okay. Oh my goodness, Ansley, I love everything that you have said today. Thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts kind of before we close?
Gosh, those are always like weird, because I'm like, final, that feels so like definitive. Honestly, it was probably just like highlight points from where we're at. Like, something is better than nothing usually, right? And that can be as simple as walking. If you're talking about in regards to like where to get started, just get started. Like, just pick something and get started, and be less worried about like what's best, and more worried about like, how can I honor my body? How can I move my body? Knowing that humans were designed to move, right? Like, we just started recently studying women in studies in like the past 10 years. So that's a whole thing. But I think we can just know definitively, right, though, that like humans were designed to move. Movement is usually very much medicine. There's some version of it for everybody. So just give yourself grace and space in postpartum, and honor your body, but know that like a walk and some water are gonna do you a lot of good, almost like every single time. So if there's a way to like summarize all of that, it's usually have a glass of water and then go for a walk, see how you feel, and go. Like, that's usually like a big difference. Like, whatever you're talking about, it's gonna help probably.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for listening as well. And I will make sure that all of your information is all in the show notes, so people can connect with you and follow all the brilliant things that you say online, and fall in love with you as much as I have. So
thank you. That's
this woman is brilliant.
High praise, goodness. But no, yeah, I would love to connect with anybody. Thank you. It's just a pleasure to get to know, and I'm so glad that we like connected a while ago.
Yeah.
We're still
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for everyone listening, and we will see you very, very soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you are loving this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe and leave us a review. Both of these really help the show. As you go out into the world this week, know that we are sending you so much love and wishing you a wonderful and beautiful day, and we will see you back here soon.